DETV News is sponsored by Newcastle County Government.
A major vaccine requirement has been announced here in the first state.
And it comes as one of the biggest employers in Delaware loses more than 150 employees over a vaccine mandate.
Plus, a video shown on social media has raised questions about police brutality. Those stories, along with weather and sports, are coming up. Hello and welcome to DETV News. I'm Lauren Wilson.
And I'm Matt Ford. Thanks for joining us.
Topping the news this week, an exclusive talk with the man at the center of an arrest that Wilmington Mayor Mike Krasicki calls concerning. Here's a surveillance video taken at a corner store in Southbridge. It shows a Wilmington cop grabbing the back of the man's head and slamming it twice into a plexiglass partition before he takes the man down out of the view of the camera. That man is 44-year-old Dwayne Brown, and he talked only to DETV News about the incident.
I hope he doesn't kill me. Please don't let him kill me. That's what I was feeling. That's what I was thinking, to be perfectly honest with you.
Wilmington police have put the officer on administrative duty pending an investigation. The Attorney General's office is also looking into the matter, while Brown has obtained an attorney. The aggressive actions of the officer caught on tape have sparked community outrage.
It's abuse of power. It's a clear use of excessive force. And what I see in the video is an officer losing his cool, losing his calm, and taking it out on a member of the community.
Also topping the news, get vaccinated or be tested weekly. That's the mandate handed down by Governor John Carney for all public and private school employees, contractors, and volunteers. In a special news briefing, the governor said the mandate is the best way to protect children from getting COVID-19 and to keep them in school. His emergency regulation goes into effect November 1st. The consequences for not following the mandate will be left up to the school districts and private schools to decide. During the briefing, Carney said his decision follows a similar one made by Christiana, which he applauds.
This is one way to keep everyone safe while the children and educators are in school for in-person instruction.
And Christiana's deadline for its staff to get vaccinated, which was mandatory, has come and gone. About 150 employees left the healthcare system. The Delaware Nurses Association supported the vaccine mandate and does not believe nurses who left the healthcare system will have a major impact on patient care. Of the 150 employees who did not comply by the deadline, 12 are full-time nurses.
Vaccines are one of the greatest public health achievements of the last century. And, nurses are scientists and public health champions. So, it is our role to support that, those efforts, combat the misinformation around vaccinations.
In early August, opponents of the vaccine mandate protested outside of Christiana's Newark campus. It was a day to remember the ultimate sacrifice made by 3 Wilmington firefighters that awful night 5 years ago in Canby Park section of Wilmington. Matt, you have more on the story.
It was just around 3 a.m. on a Saturday when 3 Wilmington firefighters ran into a burning house on Lakeview Road, believing people were trapped inside. The floor beneath them gave way and they plummeted into the burning basement. More firefighters rushed to their aid. One of the firefighters who fell into the basement and a second firefighter who ran into the blaze became trapped and died at the scene. 2 more were severely burned, one dying of her injuries months later in the hospital. 3 others were injured. The Wilmington police chaplain called it, quote, our own very personal 9/11. More than 100 people gathered last week for the dedication of a memorial in honor of Captain Christopher Leach, Lieutenant Artie Hope, and Lieutenant Jerry Fix.
To be here today, to see the memorial, it's a great reflection and a great way of remembering Chris, Artie, and Jerry.
The house on Lakeview Road was donated to the Wilmington Fire's Benevolent Fund, and the space has been lined with brick pavers and 3 stone benches bearing their names. Family members of all spoke during a ceremony in Canby Park, followed by a slow, long procession past the now dedicated memorial.
That he was always learning, and he would want what happened here 5 years ago to be a learning opportunity. He would also want you to remember the good, full of life moments that he shared with you rather than what happened here.
Everyone in the fire department we would like to thank for making this possible in this dedication ceremony. It means so much to us. My sisters and I over the past few years have felt the love and support from each and every single one of you. It's truly a family, and you guys definitely look out for your own.
And to say Chris was passionate about firefighting is probably an understatement. He lived to go to work, to fight fire, to serve his community, and to mentor new recruits. In fact, when Chris was pursuing his bachelor's degree, he wrote in a paper, "I was born to be a firefighter. It is inherently part of who I am."
In other news, agrochemical giant Monsanto faces a lawsuit filed by Delaware's Attorney General. It seeks recovery of damages and cleanup costs associated with toxic PCBs. The suit claims Monsanto manufactured the chemical for decades, knowing the dangers they posed. PCBs, used mainly for electrical equipment, were banned back in 1978. The suit claims Monsanto knew the deadly dangers to humans and animals as early as 1937. The Attorney General wants Monsanto, not Delaware taxpayers, to foot the bill for the cleanup.
Coming up, a look at the weekend forecast after this break. You're watching DETV News.
Coming up this week on the agenda.
Black history is American history, and American history is taught in our schools. So what's the problem?
History is not about patriotism. History is not about loving or liking a country. History is about helping us understand our identity and helping to understand our humanity.
Our children should have been learning the real history of this state and this nation so that we don't repeat it.
Welcome back. Thanks to the DuPont Company, graduate students at Delaware State University were given 50 high-end Apple laptops. The donation was the chemical giant's way of kicking off HBCU Week. The devices were given to students enrolled in DSU's STEM program. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. The generous gift giving didn't stop there. DuPont invited the grad students to a national conference that will be held virtually, and also sponsored a special networking event in Wilmington as part of HBCU Week celebrations. Speaking of HBCU Week, Delaware State University sponsored the first annual 5K walk-run on Monday evening at Brandywine Park.
This is the second of a series of events sponsored this week to promote awareness and support for HBCU colleges and universities across this nation.
And on Saturday, a crowd favorite returns to Frawley Stadium for the annual college fair with the Battle of the Bands. It's all a show of pride with no winners or judges, just a chance for the bands to strut their stuff. Doors open at 12:30 and performances begin at 2 o'clock. Participating bands include Delaware State University, North Carolina Central University, and Winston-Salem State University.
In other higher ed news, the University of Delaware won a competitive grant this week worth more than $500,000 over the next 5 years. The winning program, called Spin In, connects faculty and students with startup companies to work together and solve technical problems. One of the companies launched from the UD program is now worth more than $1 billion. The U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Economic Development paid a visit to campus to announce the grant and tour the facilities with Delaware Senator Tom Carper. The numbers are staggering. Delaware schools received about $637 million of pandemic relief funds to spend before the end of 2024. The funding, all part of the American Rescue Plan, must be spent in specific ways mostly related to COVID recovery and prevention. 20% must be spent making up learning loss experienced by students who studied at home for 18 months. The money is also earmarked for those impacted the most, including low-income students, English language learners, and the disabled. The Red Clay School District, the state's largest, received about $60 million, according to Superintendent Darrell Green. He says the district improved air quality in schools to the tune of $15 million and concentrated on helping those students who suffered learning loss during the pandemic.
That minimum 20% set aside, which is roughly a little over $9 million for Red Clay, has really focused on those aspects of student learning, student assessment, professional learning, things that are going to help support learning recovery.
Other school districts plan to include instructional materials, mental health resources, nutrition programs, and after-school programs, among many other items. Turning now to sports, Nick Alessandrini has the day off, but here are your high school football scores and next week's games. Stay with us. You're watching DETV.
Those were the days. We'd cruise down drags with our favorite bands. And every night, we had standing dates with the same friends. We hustled, we bumped, we bus stopped, and we smoked all the time. If that was you then, get your lungs screened now. Visit screenyourlungs.org today.
Welcome back. It's electric. Cars, that is. Governor John Carney recently signed an amendment to the Delaware Energy Act. It encourages the use of electric cars by creating more charging stations in the first state. The legislation makes way for additional funding for the charging stations. AAA is marking the 11th annual Plug-in America Week by offering a growing number of car care centers offering free vehicle charging. A recent survey by the Auto Club found the biggest reason why people hesitate to buy electric cars is their concern over finding enough places to juice up their eco-friendly vehicles.
Santa will be coming to town in Rehoboth Beach this Christmas, but only after battling through some red tape, and not the kind used for gift wrapping. For decades, the Rehoboth Beach Chamber of Commerce owned the Santa house seen here until last year when a new policy prohibited private holiday displays on city property. Rehoboth Beach commissioners voted unanimously to purchase it from the chamber for $1, allowing the house to legally assume its place on the boardwalk once again. All this after the new policy denied the Knights of Columbus the right to install a nativity scene on city property next to the bandstand in 2018 and 19. The Knights sued and the case was settled in court, with Rehoboth Beach being required to display a city-owned nativity set on or next to the bandstand for the next 2 years.
Now, if you're headed down to Sussex to see Santa, be sure to pack your patience, and here's why. DelDOT says drivers should expect traffic delays on Route 1 near the bridge over the Broadkill River because a bridge replacement project is slated to begin this fall and will continue throughout the winter months. The anticipated end date is next March. The $16 million project will limit traffic to one lane in each direction.
Newcastle County Police will be hosting a Faith and Blue weekend prayer service on October 6 from 5 to 7 p.m. In addition, Newcastle County Police will also be hosting a blood drive with the American Red Cross on October 6 from 2 to 7. Appointments can be scheduled on the American Red Cross's website. An appointment is necessary and walk-ins will not be accepted. COVID-19 vaccines will also be provided by the Delaware Department of Public Health that day between 5 and 7 p.m.
In our health report today, prostate cancer is the second leading cause of cancer deaths among men in the United States. While Prostate Cancer Awareness Month is winding down, Donnie Bourgeois-Smith tells us raising awareness about the disease is important all year long. Take a look.
Hey everyone, we're going to talk about a topic that might make some of you a little uncomfortable. Today we're going to talk about everything you need to know about the prostate. September has been designated as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, and we felt it was really important that we shed light on one of the most common forms of cancer. The statistics were a bit shocking to me. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. And if you are a Black man of non-Hispanic descent, the number changes to a 1 in 6 likelihood of being diagnosed. If you have a family history of prostate cancer, that risk climbs to 1 in 5 or 20%. Speaking on a personal note, I can name close to 8 family members between mine and my husband's families who have either been treated and recovered or sadly have passed away from this disease. I was joined in conversation this week with Dr. Mira Shah, a fellowship-trained urologist at Christiana Care who specializes in the treatment and management of urologic cancers such as the kidney, bladder, and yes, the prostate. He took the time to explain in an easy-to-understand way what the prostate is, the various forms of testing, and what an effective treatment plan looks like if needed.
So prostate is a small walnut-shaped gland that is located between the bladder and the urethra. Prostate cancer is cancer that develops in this little gland. It is currently the second leading cause of death from a cancer standpoint in men in the United States on an annual basis. It is common and it has some associated risk factors. However, we don't exactly know what or why men develop prostate cancer. But some of the associated risks that are known are age, ethnicity, and family history. So as men get older, their risk goes up. So the current recommendation is for men to start getting tested, or at least talk to their physician about getting tested for prostate cancer starting at the age of 55. Now, if you have somebody in your family, just like your husband did, that really should probably be earlier. Most folks will say at least roughly 10 years earlier than the youngest family member that was diagnosed. And usually that can be as early as 45 years of age. The testing to diagnose prostate cancer early on includes 2 different types of tests. One is a physical exam and the other is a blood test. Unfortunately, early prostate cancer causes no symptoms whatsoever. So it can grow silently, which is sort of the scary part, and which is why getting tested is so important. It's so important to get tested early with the combination of an exam and the lab test, the PSA, because early detection can be easily cured. There's 2 ways to cure that patient of their cancer. It's either with surgery or with radiation. And they both have excellent outcomes in terms of cancer control. Prostate cancer is a cancer that often is not lethal and can be easily cured, especially in the early stages. And so the success rates are excellent. And men that are diagnosed with prostate cancer and it's localized to the prostate with treatment, whether it's radiation or surgery, often have a 99% survival rate at 10 to 15 years. My takeaway from today, if there's one message I would send, is that prostate cancer is fairly common in men, but it's very curable and treatable, especially when diagnosed early. And so I encourage everybody to at least speak with their physician or a urologist about what their individual risk is of having prostate cancer. And while it may seem scary, and often some of the tests are scary, and maybe the treatment is scary, it is one of the few cancers that we can really treat well and men live with for a long time, even if diagnosed with it.
Guys, did you hear that? The treatment for this cancer can be potentially 99% effective, but early detection through annual testing can save your life. If you fall within the age range or have a family history that puts you at a higher risk, I encourage you to connect with a knowledgeable and empathetic doctor like Dr. Shah to start regular testing and, if needed, treatment. While there are always lifestyle impacts to any form of treatment, the reward outweighs the risk with this highly curable cancer. I'm Donnie Bouchely-Smith. This is your Health and Wellness Report for the week. I'll see you next time. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Donnie. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
The life of every child is precious. If you care for a child or teenager with a disability and have limited income and resources, they may qualify for monthly cash payments through the Supplemental Security Income Program, or SSI. Call Social Security at 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov/SSI-Kids to learn more. That's ssa.gov/SSI-Kids. Message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Welcome back. Faithful Friends Animal Society and its supporters had a doggone good time at its 11th annual 5K Mutt Mile event. It took place at Bellevue State Park, where hundreds of people and pooches showed up for a scenic walk or run through the wooded park. The event is a major fundraiser for the No-Kill Shelter. Supporters help the organization raise money needed to care for 400 animals every day, and those who didn't show up were able to participate through the event's virtual option.
The Delaware Art Museum recently hosted an annual Delaware Korean Festival. Guests got the opportunity to get a taste of Korean culture. A delicious spread of food was just part of the colorful celebration. There were Korean-inspired crafts and games, along with performances and martial arts demonstrations. It looks like everyone there had a great time.
The Wilmington Police Department will continue its tradition of marking National Night Out with a community celebration on Tuesday, October 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. in Rodney Square. National Night Out is an annual community event that promotes police and community partnerships. It offers an opportunity for residents to meet and interact with police officers from various divisions, including the K-9 Unit, the Mobile Command Post, and the Marine Unit. Parents can also get free identification cards for their kids. COVID vaccines, festivities, and free food will also be available.
And finally, Wilmington's Rodney Square turned into a magical pop-up location last Saturday night for about 2,000 people who gathered for the annual Danaon Blanc. That's French for dinner in white. With a Roaring 20s theme, people enjoyed an elegant dinner they brought with them to the event, along with their own chairs and tables and elaborate table settings. Every year, the location is kept secret until the guests arrive, and that's only part of the fun. The dinner was founded 30 years ago when a man in Paris invited many friends and acquaintances to a refined dinner in a public space and asked them to wear white so they could recognize each other. The event has since grown to 85 cities. Waving white napkins in the air at the same time is a signature part of the event, along with live music and lots of fancy fun. And I missed it this year, but it really is a fun event. After seeing those pictures, I've got to make it next year.
I saw it all over social media. It was great. And a couple weeks ago, we showed your picture from when you were attending. It was just amazing pictures. So we'll make it a date next year. We'll go.
Absolutely. That's our report for this week. Thanks for watching DETV News.
Stay well, and we'll see you next time.
DETV News is sponsored by Newcastle County Government.